All right, it'll take a second for it to come up on my screen and then I can get started. So here we go. All right. So if everybody can see it, just give me a thumbs up so that I know it's working and you all perfect. Okay, great. All right, so thanks so much for having me, everybody. I'm super excited to be here. And I have to tell you, on a personal note, you all stole my buyer's agent. My buyer's agent just moved to your area a couple of months ago. She's been with me for almost 8 years and decided they wanted to be someplace warmer, better climate, great lifestyle for a family. So you all stole my best person on my team. So she's down there now. So if you guys run across an agent named Iris Taylor, be super nice to her because she is fantastic. And I'm so sad that she left. She helped me build all of this stuff. So we are going to talk about how to grow your business in 2021, broken down into 10 tips. So if you've heard me speak before, maybe one of these will be familiar, but it's going to be a lot of new stuff. I am going to post copies of the slides on my Facebook page, so not my personal Facebook page. So if you go there to look for them, you will not see them there. They are on my, excuse me, Shay How to Real Estate Speaker and Coach page. So I'll have those posted by tonight. And I know that the association is recording this, so I'm guessing that they will make it available to you. Is that right? Okay, yeah, I'm seeing head shaking. So that way you can go back and listen to it again if you want. I love getting questions. So if you have questions, please put them in the chat box as we go. I would rather answer them as we go. It's particularly because it will be relevant to that section usually that I'm talking about rather than doing them all at the end. So I will monitor the chat box and answer those as best I can. All right, so let's jump in. So the first thing that we're doing for 2021, we have always prided ourselves on a team. And to tell you guys a little bit about myself first, so I'm a residential realtor in the Chicago area. I have a small team. So until this past summer when Iris left, it was myself and Iris, my buyer's agent, and then we have 4 assistants. Since she left, I also moved to Denver. So now I am running my real estate team from Denver. My husband took a job here as the CEO of the Denver Metro Association of Realtors. So I am here full time. So I now have 2 buyer's agents, a listing agent, and I am basically spending all of my time writing contracts and doing negotiations and buyer and seller intakes. So we did 119 transactions last year for 56 million, just to kind of, give you a sense of where I'm coming from. I have been a realtor for 8 years. I got into the business knowing really not a lot about real estate. My husband had been in real estate, but I had not. I had owned some brick and mortar businesses. We moved to Chicago so that my husband at the time could take a job with the National Association of Realtors. So I sold my business when we moved there, and I didn't really know what I was going to do when we got there. My husband was like, why don't you try real estate? I think you'd be good at it. I think you would like it. So I really built my business from scratch in a market where I didn't know a single person when we moved there. I got my license a couple of months later. I didn't know how to get to Target. I remember trying to drive to Target the first time and crying because there was so much traffic, and we're from Alaska. So it was completely overwhelming. So I really went from a sphere of 0 to, 56 million in business this past year, in an 8-year span. So, we're going to kind of talk about some of the things that I'm implementing for next year to grow our business, even more. My goal for next year is 70 million. So, we'll see if we can get there. I have always prided myself on white glove service. That has always been my thing from the very beginning. I felt so lucky in the beginning to have any clients that I felt like if I could treat them like gold, they would give my name out to other people. And that was how I would grow my business. And that is exactly how I've grown my business. We don't buy any leads. I've never bought a lead from Zillow, Realtor.com, etc. I've never door knocked. I've never called expireds. I've never worked for sale by owners. That stuff does not interest me at all. And I know I won't like it, so I won't be good at it. So I really focus on client experience and client service. And all of our clients come from referrals from our past clients in our sphere. So we're always looking at how can we deliver white glove service. And what we realized is that we had our own definition of what that looked like, which I'll explain to you in a second, but we never asked that question to our clients. So now at every buyer intake and seller listing presentation that I'm doing, I'm asking that question. We want to make sure that we are providing you white glove service when it comes to real estate. What does that look like for you? And that seems, potentially like a silly question to ask, but it's been really eye-opening because it gives us an understanding of, does that person want really fast communication times? Do they want, somebody who's available to them 24 hours a day? Do they want gifts? Like, what does that mean for them? In the past, our white glove service has been that we will always respond to clients typically within a couple of minutes. We assign 2 agents for every client. So it's always myself and then like a buyer's agent, so that if the buyer's agent is out on showings and they have a question, we're all on a text chain together. I can get back to them in a matter of, minutes or seconds so that they're getting superior service. Little things like we will show up at showings for a buyer with their favorite coffee from Starbucks. And we know that what that is because we've asked them in a survey that we have them fill out. Pre-COVID, when we were driving them around in our car, we would have their favorite music playing in our car when we drove them around. And we knew what their favorite music was from the survey we had them fill out before we started working with them. So, we're always looking for little things that we can do to kind of surprise and delight our clients. So I would really look at, are you providing white glove service to your clients? And if not, how can you up that game? And sometimes it's as simple as talking with a seller the other day and asking them, what are they most stressed about in terms of selling their property? And they said they didn't know how they were going to have time to pack their house up with 2 kids doing e-learning, 2 full-time jobs. And I was like, well, that's not a problem. We have people who can pack you up. Let me send them over and they can give you a quote, and that took their stress level down immensely. So just asking that question oftentimes can allow you to provide the answers that they need to provide that white glove service. So that's the question I would ask yourself all throughout this year. Simple things like when a client is done moving, we ask them if they would be willing to donate their moving boxes for free. And if so, we hook them up with another client who's going to be moving soon. Client B goes and picks up the moving boxes from client A. Everybody wins because they don't have to get rid of their moving boxes. And now the person who's moving gets free moving boxes, right? So what are the little things that you can do to go above and beyond for your clients to really surprise and delight them? Recently we had a client who decided they were going to have a pizza party at the house right after closing with their kids because they were so excited that they got to buy their first house. So we showed up with pizza for them. We showed up with cupcakes. We showed up with champagne for the adults, so little things like that to surprise your clients go a long way in this business. So think about how you're doing that and what you can add. The second thing I would say is really look at upping your tech game. Obviously this has been an unprecedented year. A lot of us are online a lot more than we ever have in the past. I personally think everybody should have a professional Zoom account. I am on Zoom all day long with clients. It's a lot harder right now to get belly to belly with clients because of COVID. So do all of your contract negotiations via Zoom. Whenever I'm writing up a contract now, I am on Zoom with a client so we can see each other face to face. I have my screen shared. We're writing the contract up together. When we have to do inspection negotiations, again, that is a Zoom call. Every new buyer consultation is a Zoom call. Every new listing presentation is a Zoom call. So I am on Zoom all day long with those clients so I can build that trust and that FaceTime with them. So if you're going to go that route, make sure you have a good Zoom set up. I took a whole class on this for an hour a couple of weeks ago, and I'm in the process of still setting mine up. So I'm going to boil this down to you in about 1 minute, what I learned from an hour class, and that was, have your computer way elevated. So what you're seeing in front of me is the setup that I am standing in front of right now. That's a picture I took this morning. So that's a Veridesk that I have to lift it up. If you don't want to spend the money on that, which is about $400, get a bunch of books, put a bunch of books under your computer, lift them up so that they're at eye height. So you're not getting, people looking up your nose, right? Get some quality lights. Like this is what, in the process of me, what I'm working on. So I have 2 right now and I'll show you what those are, and I'm probably going to add some more for some more lighting. Get a good camera if you're on Zoom a lot rather than relying on your computer camera. I've got a Yeti microphone. So you don't have to spend a ton of money. I think I spent about $1,500 and most of that was my camera, which was about $800, but just getting a Yeti microphone is about $100. Getting the LED air lights, I think they're about $125. You can get books out of your house for free to elevate your monitor. So it doesn't necessarily need to cost a lot of money to make sure that if you are Zooming with clients, they can see you, that it's bright enough they can see you, that you can actually look good on camera to them. The other thing we've been really loving this year for tech is what's called the DJI Osmo Pocket. So this thing has been a game changer for us. It's a tiny little camera. It's about $400. And it's on a stabilizer. And so we're using this in a couple of different ways. We have experienced, and I'm sure you guys are seeing the same thing, a lot of clients moving to the area from out of the area, and they may not feel completely comfortable traveling there to see homes, especially in the beginning of their search. And so they want you to go and FaceTime them through a property. So what we've been doing is using these DJI Osmo Pocket cameras to take videos of them, and they're much higher quality videos than you're going to get on your iPhone. They also have a stabilizer, so when you're walking, they're not seeing that video bounce all around. It's a nice smooth video. So these have been great. You can hook your phone right up to it. And you can, shoot them an email or a text or whatever with the link to the video when you get done with the showing. What's also been really great about these is using them for listings. So, with all of our listings, because of COVID, we're making sure that we're going all out on the tech. So we've got the floor plan, we have a professional, photographer who's coming in and taking at least 25 photos on every listing. That's the magic number to get you up higher on Zillow rankings, is 25 number photos or above. And then on top of that, we've been doing the Matterport 3D tours. So I think at minimum, you need to be doing those 3 things on all of your listings, because so many people are looking at them virtually online now before they'll come and see them in person because of COVID, right? The other thing we've been doing is with these DJI Osmo Pocket cameras, we've been taking a video of the listing. So we walk through and we show the whole listing like there's a buyer, they're actually doing a showing, but we get into great detail. So things that people cannot see in those Matterport tours or in the photos, like opening the closets, showing what the inside of the closets look like, showing what the inside of the refrigerator looks like. Does it have a garbage disposal? What does the storage look like, right? You're going to typically not take pictures of storage areas or maybe, the inside of the garage, things like that. But those are important things that people want to see. So we've been taking videos with this. These are longer videos. Usually they're about 10 to 15 minutes. And then what we've also been doing is taking neighborhood videos. So I've been walking up and down the streets in the neighborhood so people can see what those look like. I've been walking to the closest school, the closest park, playground, coffee shop, whatever you have around there that people would want to walk to. And then we've been editing those videos so that in 30 seconds, we speed it up and people can get a really good flavor of what the neighborhood is like, how far it is to walk to the park, the playground, et cetera. And we have found that those are getting really, really good plays. And so by the time people come in, they're ready to write an offer when they walk in the door because they've seen all of this online. It's also helping us win listing presentations because it's showing how we're different from every other realtor in our market. And again, it's a one-time fee of about $400. So this has really been a game changer for us. If you're going to take videos to put online, I highly recommend captioning them. Most people, if you look at the research, look at videos on mute because they look at videos when they shouldn't be, when they're in meetings for work, when they're out with their kids, whatever it may be. So rev.com is a great place to caption videos. It's $1 per minute to caption your video. So if your video is only 3 minutes long, it's only $3 to caption it. So really affordable way to do it. The other tech that we've been loving is Real Scout. So, I don't know a ton about your MLS. Our MLS is clunky. It's not a great user experience for clients. And so we found that a lot of our clients were ending up searching on their own on Redfin, on Zillow, et cetera. And they would see on Redfin that little button about, do you want a tour in an hour? And they would push that button thinking they could get into the property in an hour, not realizing that they still have to follow the same rules that we do, where we have to call the listing agent or put it in through showing time or however you do it in your market, that Redfin can't get them in any faster than we can get them in, right? It's just a button. So what we found was this tool called Real Scout, which has been fantastic for us. Basically it connects with your MLS and it does it all across the country. And it is a much better user experience for the buyers. I think it's like $35 a month, something like that. But it has a lot of great features. So it allows you to communicate back and forth about particular properties in Real Scout. And it has a really good app. So if a home comes up that a client loves, they can, respond to you in Real Scout and say, I love this property. I love the kitchen and the backyard, or I don't like this. And then there's a button where they can request a showing, kind of like on Redfin. So they can say, hey, I'd really love to see this tomorrow at 6. Can we make that work? They can also tweak their own search. So rather than them having to come to you and say, gosh, now I want to look in this neighborhood, or I want to increase my search budget, they can do that themselves, which saves us time. So we're not having to make all of those changes. It also allows them to put in things like commute time, so they can see how long their commute is from that home to their work. So they just put their work in, it'll populate it on each listing. So it has a lot of really great features and a really great app. So, if you feel like your MLS is not necessarily meeting your client's needs, you might want to look into something like this. It's made the search process much easier and better for our buyers in particular. For those of you who have assistants or who have teams, I highly recommend Slack. So Slack is free, and I love free because I'm pretty cheap. So Slack is a great tool for you to communicate as a team or with your assistant. So, I found that I was getting hundreds of emails a day from my assistants with questions about properties, and it would take a long time to pull up the email, respond back, figure out who are they talking about, et cetera. So we found Slack. So within Slack, it's an app and it's on the computer. You can set up channels. So we have a channel for every single client in here. So you can see like buyer Patrick, and then LC means that's assigned to my buyer agent, Lauren Calderoni. Under UC means that person's under contract. So we have a channel for every single person in here. We also have a channel for social media, events, what upcoming projects we want to do, Instagram, sellers, et cetera. So now, like if a client goes under contract, like Patrick went under contract over the weekend, all I do is I upload the contract in here. I tag my buyer's agent, Rhonda. I don't have to even say anything more than that. And now she knows exactly what to do from that. She knows to turn that contract into the office, start our under contract buyer workflow, et cetera. And what I like about this is that, if I can't remember, for instance, if a client can buy without having to sell, I can go in here and scroll back through my notes, and I put notes in here when I meet with clients. So I can say, oh, this person can afford to buy without selling. They'd rather not. So it's kind of like a CRM in that you can keep notes in here. We do have a separate CRM, but I just find it's really helpful to have the contract in here, all the earnest money receipts, et cetera. So I can always go back and check it. We still save those in Dropbox, but it's a good way for me to communicate that to my assistant. So if you have an assistant, I would highly recommend checking into this. It's really saved us a ton of time. From there, I think the next thing that people really need to focus on is upping their pop buys and their events, right? Just because there's COVID doesn't mean we can't still do those things. So, particularly pop buys, if you have clients who are very concerned about COVID, you can easily still do a pop buy and develop that relationship with them while keeping them safe. So one of the things that we're going to be doing for Valentine's Day next month are the hot chocolate bombs. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with these. They've become very popular in the last couple of months. Bakers make them, and essentially it's like a ball of chocolate and that's hardened, and inside of it is marshmallows and chocolate powder and stuff like that. And you drop it into a cup, and then you pour over it hot milk or water, and it kind of explodes and makes hot chocolate. So it's just a fun thing for people to be able to do at home. So we are partnering with a lender. We're paying $15 for a set of 4. So our cost is going to be $7.50 with our lender. And we're doing, dropping those off at each client's property on their front porch with just a little note wishing them happy Valentine's Day. Last year in the spring, we did the same thing with Girl Scout cookies. So we hooked up with the Girl Scouts. We bought 1,200 boxes of Girl Scout cookies. We gave each client a choice of 3 boxes. And the nice thing about that was the Girl Scouts went and delivered all the cookies for us. So we didn't even have to run around dropping off the cookies. $12, I split it with a lender, so my cost was $6, right? Spring outdoor photos or porch photos, we did a ton of these this past year. Again, not super expensive. We hired a photographer. It cost us $20 per family. That person went out to each person's home, took pictures of them in front of their home for socially distanced porch photos. Our clients loved them. And that was great because they put those photos on social media and tagged us saying, look at the cool thing my agent did for us. Mother's and Father's Day giveaways, which I'll talk to you about in a second. We did our Thanksgiving pie pickup, so particularly if you have people if you work with a lot of single people, if you work with a lot of elderly people, people who really feel like they might be alone right now because of COVID, you want to be reaching out to those people, showing them that you care, that they are not alone, that you're thinking about them. Just those simple things alone, I find earn me a ton of business. We did our Thanksgiving pie pickup in November for Thanksgiving, and I had 10 new clients within a week because of referrals that came from that event. So if you're not doing these kinds of events, I would say try to do at least 2 in-person events per year and 2 pop-by events per year. So this is an example of our Valentine's pop buys that we're doing. These are what the hot chocolate bombs look like. So I got this idea from a friend of mine who did them for Christmas. So I'm stealing that idea with her permission and doing them for Valentine's Day. This is an example on the right side. This is actually my family in front of our old house in Illinois of our socially distanced porch photos. We're going to also do Mother's Day flowers this year. So we're going to drop off in little vases outside of all of our clients' properties who are moms, just a couple of tulips in a vase, and wish them a happy Mother's Day. So these things don't have to be expensive. And especially if you partner with a lender, have them split half the cost, give them half the list, have them drop off half of them so that you're not spending all of your time. If your offices are open, you can also do pop buys at your office. So our offices are not open for clients to come by, but in the past you could have, pumpkins there and say, hey, come stop by my office anytime in October and pick up a pumpkin on me for a happy Halloween, right? So it can be a combination of you dropping things off to them or them coming by your office if your office allows that to pick items up. We're also looking at doing a bunch of giveaways this year. So we're going to do like a Father's Day giveaway, a Mother's Day giveaway. They're going to be big gift baskets from local vendors in our area, along with like $200 gift cards to, a chain of local restaurants, and in exchange, they have to do something. So like for Valentine's Day, we're going to do a Valentine's gift basket giveaway, and they have to leave us a review. For anybody who leaves us a review, they get an entry form into our giveaway, and then we'll draw a winner at the end of the month, right? So for our Mother's Day giveaway, they have to like our Facebook page, and do something else, right? So don't just give stuff away. Think about something you can get in return for yourself from your client. So our Father's Day giveaway is going to be anybody who refers us to a client over the course of June gets entered into our Father's Day giveaway, okay? Then look at upping your communication game. So we have really upped our AdWorks spending. So here's a copy of it right here. So you'll see the ad on the right. This is our old ad with Iris before she moved. So AdWorks is basically retargeting. So if you've ever shopped online for like a pair of boots and then you don't end up buying those boots and now you see an ad everywhere you go on the internet for those boots, that is the same thing as what AdWorks does. So it's retargeting. So what you can do is you put email addresses in. So we put email addresses for everybody in our sphere. So all of our past clients, current clients, prospective clients, et cetera. But then I also put other email addresses in here for people that I wouldn't necessarily feel comfortable emailing because I don't know them that well, or it would be considered spam. So for instance, everybody at my child's preschool, I put all of their email addresses in here. And then wherever they are online on the internet, so whether that's ESPN, Wall Street Journal, Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, et cetera, my ad is going to pop up reminding them that I'm a realtor. So I don't think that you're going to get business necessarily, from somebody you don't know this way, but those people who do know you, it just keeps reminding them that you're a realtor. So when they need somebody, you are top of mind because they have seen your ad, every week. This is an NAR member benefit that is offered in part through all of the associations. So if you go to NAR member benefits program and look for AdWorks, you get an extra 20% of impressions. So a normal non-NAR member benefit would get 2,500 impressions per month, which means that your ad will pop up 2,500 times. We find it's best to not have more than 500 people in a campaign so that they're seeing your ad on average 5 times per month. The nice thing is if you sign up through NAR, you get 3,200 impressions. So they get to see your ad like 6 to 7 times a month, okay? They also have different programs. You can do advertising by zip code. If you work a particular zip code and you want everybody in that zip code to see your ad, you can also do ads for listings. So you can kind of circle prospect around a listing. That's a different price. That's $59 per week. So we just do the Sphere ads at $79 per month. But I think the listings are a good idea. If you have a listing that hasn't sold after a couple of weeks and you can tell your clients, your sellers getting antsy, do one of these ads. You and I know it's not going to sell the house, but it's going to make them happy because they're going to see it online because you're going to put their email address in there. So they're going to see it everywhere they go. And it's going to show them that you're being creative with your advertising. So we're a big fan of AdWorks. I would also look at doing Google display ads for your name. So Google display ads are very affordable. You set the budget, you can spend $5 a month, $10 a month, whatever you want. But when somebody Googles your name at the top of the screen, it's going to come up with an ad that you have created. They can click on that and go through to your website, your Facebook page, wherever you want them to go. So you're controlling the narrative that they see more than them just independently Googling your name and finding all of these random, sites that talk about you. 2 out of 3 clients are going to research you extensively before they decide whether they're going to use you or not. So they need to be able to easily find you online, because if they can't, oftentimes they are not going to use you. So that's where that Google display really comes into play, is that as soon as they Google your name, they see your ad pop up, they can click through to where you want them to click through. It's also the reason reviews are really important, which we'll talk about in a second. With your communication to clients during this time, during COVID, I would be really upping your communication that's going out to clients in terms of what can they do from their home as either maintenance items to keep their home in good shape, or rehab projects that they can maybe do themselves to increase the future value of your home. Because, a lot of people we're stuck home right now. We can't do as many things. So I'll show you some examples of that in a second. The other thing I would do is make sure you are reaching out to clients more often than you think they need. So what I mean by that is, if you've heard me talk in the past, you know that we have a very robust communication program with our clients. So we have automated all of our communication. So, if a client goes under contract, we put them in our CRM. They get an automatic email every single day from then until closing that explains what happens next in the transaction. So they get a reminder before the inspection about what's going to happen, what time, bring a tape measure with them, et cetera. They get an email message automatically after the inspection, talking to them about when they're going to get the report, how to read the report, what they need to ask for, et cetera, right? So, you should have a CRM that has that capability to send emails out based on milestone dates in the transaction. But beyond that, we've really upped our personal communication game. So what we have found is, I want to take the weekends off. I don't want to work the weekends as much as I have in the past. So what we have done is, every Monday, I now text every single client. So every current client, every under contract client, prospective clients who are, really getting ready to start their search. And I just say, happy Monday. Just wanted to check in and see if you need anything from me. And it's been surprising, because I would say 95% of the time they write back and they say, yes, actually, I have a question for you. We got the appraisal report over the weekend. Do I need to forward that to anybody? Or can you recommend this, that, and the other thing? And we have a ton of communication that goes out to our clients. So I've been shocked they still have more questions. And I think sometimes they feel like they can't reach out to you. They don't want to bother you. And so if you proactively ask them that, then they're more likely to ask you those questions. And you can do it on a time that you have availability to answer. So I block out every Monday morning to just text clients and respond to their questions. I do the same thing on Fridays, because what I found was that I ended up responding to clients' texts or emails or phone calls or whatever with random questions all over the weekend. And now if I do it on Friday mornings, I have all Friday to respond to them. And now they don't reach out to me as much on the weekends. So I have a lot more free time on the weekends than I did before, by simply proactively reaching out to them and saying, hey, happy Friday before the weekend. Just wanted to check in and see if you need anything from us. Okay. And sometimes they say no, and that's fine, but at least you're super proactive. So since we started doing that, our reviews are off the charts in terms of they're talking about our communication, that Shay and Lauren were so proactive in reaching out to me. I never felt like, I didn't hear from them, or that I didn't have a question that they didn't know the answer to, et cetera. So just that small little thing has really made a big difference in our business this past year with COVID. So we talked about AdWorks. Another thing I think you can do, I stole this from my friend Karen Ling, who is an agent in Honolulu. And I love this. She's been doing once a month coffee with Karen. It's basically over Zoom. If you sign up, she'll send you a e-gift card to a little coffee shop, Starbucks, whatever, so you can get a cup of coffee. And then you can sign on anytime in that hour that she's online. It's sort of her open office hours, and you can ask her whatever questions you want about real estate, and just chat with her. And she's been getting really great turnout from that and getting really great leads. So she's doing them once a month going forward, so simple, easy. You can do it from your home. It doesn't cost you too much. You can even skip giving out an e-gift card. Everybody can bring their own coffee, so it doesn't cost you anything. These are examples of our maintenance reminders that we send out. So the nice thing is we only had to make these once. We don't ever have to make them again. We send them out each quarter. So we've got a fall, winter, summer, and then we have a spring that is not shown here. And again, these are the kinds of things that people can be working on at home on their own right now during COVID, when maybe they don't feel comfortable having people over. So then I would look at upping your social media game. So especially this year, social media has been, people have been spending more time on social media than ever before, simply because they are home more than ever before. So, we have a new agent who I've referenced, Lauren, who's on our team. She started in July, and, brand new agent. She did 10 million in volume her first 6 months with us. She's already put 5 million in volume in the first 11 days in January under contract. And all of that comes from her social media. That is the only thing she is doing. And so what she's doing is she's posting on she's got her, we have our team business page, but then on her personal page, she's just posting personal things for the most part on her wall. Maybe once or twice a month, she's posting business things, but she's using that social media, that stories section on Facebook. So she's posting real estate stuff in that stories section about 8 to 10 times a day. So every time she goes to a showing, she's taking a picture of it. She's posting it on there. She's saying, showing a map of all the different places she's gone for showings that day. The other day, she was writing an offer on a Friday night. She took a picture of herself, holding a glass of wine in front of her computer, and said, my favorite thing to do on a Friday night is, write an offer for a happy client. Closing, she's taking pictures, walkthroughs, pictures of her clients holding the keys. At an inspection, she's taking a 5-second video or 10-second video of the inspector, and he's giving one tip, and she's posting that on there. And what's nice about that is people actually have to go and click on it. So people are only going to go click on it if they're interested in reading about it. So you don't have to feel like you're spamming them with real estate. And let's face it, people love photos and videos of homes. It's most people's form of porn, right? It's like house porn, right? You want to see into everybody else's house and see what it looks like. And she's been having really great luck with polls. So she'll ask people questions on there. Do you love this kitchen? Do you hate it? What do you think this color should be on the outside of this client's house? All sorts of things like that. And so she's getting a lot of interaction. And what's interesting is when I see, so anytime we have a new buyer who reaches out to us, we automatically respond back and have a survey for them to fill out called our Ready to Buy survey, which you can see on our website. And so they fill that out before we will have any sort of Zoom or phone conversation with them or anything. Oh, I missed some questions here. For some reason, it didn't pop up. I will get back to those and answer those. Anyway, so we have them fill out our buyer surveys. And what I'm seeing on her buyer surveys that are coming in is people are saying, oh my gosh, we see Lauren all over social media. She must be incredibly busy because she's posting constantly that she's here, there, and everywhere. And I'm sort of laughing because in the beginning, she had no clients. And so what she was doing those first couple of months is she was going to open houses and taking pictures of open houses and videos of those and posting them. She was going to broker opens and doing the same thing. She was doing showings for us. And so anytime she did anything real estate related, she was posting it on there, even when she didn't have any clients. And so it made her look really busy, right? Because in this business, perception is reality. So if you can start posting on there more, it is amazing how many clients you will start to get. And I will show that in just a second. So a couple of questions on here. Pop buys are to my current clients. We do pop buys to current clients and past clients. We don't always do them to everybody, but most of the time we do. So we're usually doing 100 to 200 pop buys at a time, which is why we like to partner with our lender so that they can take half of those. Somebody asked, what CRM do I recommend? I use RealVolve. I'll type that in here in the bottom. I like RealVolve because it does allow me to send out automated emails based on those milestone dates in the transactions. My husband told me about another one the other day called Nimble, which he said is cheaper and seems to do the same thing. So you might want to check that one out. And then I'll get into lead generation, Lisa, about where did I initially get clients from? And I think Cindy asked the same question. So I will do that as well. So yeah, for you new agents, start posting on social media. So let me jump through and I'll show you an example of that for her, because that's really what she did to get started. So like Carrie Hartnett, you guys might know her. She's a great realtor in Oregon. Anytime she has like a sale pending, she puts the thing on there and takes a picture of herself in front of it. My agent Lauren, she didn't have a single client, but she was remodeling her bathroom. So she put things on there about that, right? And people were interested. These aren't the best quality because I just took them from my phone, from my screen, but this is basically what she'll post is anytime she goes into a showing, she takes a picture or a 5 or 10-second video of something, and then she adds comments to it. So she'll add music to it, she'll add comments to it, she'll add questions that people respond to, and she posts these on both Instagram and on Facebook. And that is where all of her clients are coming. And again, as I said, she's put 5 million under contract now in the first 11 days, and it's all coming from social media, which costs her nothing to do, So, familiarize yourself with how to do that. And to be honest, you're not going to be that great in the beginning. You will get better over time. And it has to become a habit where every time you get to a property, you think, can I take a picture of this and put something online? Especially if you see some crazy ugly things, like we had a jacuzzi recently that had carpet going up all the sides of it. And that was a great post, because we were like, what do you think of this? Love it or hate it? And everybody hated it. And it got a lot of conversation going, so just anytime you do anything real estate related, if you're doing a pop by, take a picture of you picking up the pop by stuff, dropping the pop by stuff up, right? Put all that stuff in there. So I would recommend posting in stories daily and then posting in the post section at least 3 times a week. To me, your Facebook page should really be personal stuff because people want to get to know you. People want to work with people that they like. So we put things on our personal wall that are personal things, like pictures of me doing stuff with my kid, funny things I see, different things like that. But the story section is where we really hammer the real estate. So that's pretty much all that goes in there. So, we just posted our end of year stats, how much we donated to charity, upcoming classes that we're hosting, things like that. So all the bottom down here are some posting ideas. There's an agent in my market, Scott Curcio, who every Monday, he does a Monday market report. So especially in a market like yours where it's hot and it's busy, and I don't mean hot weather-wise, like it's just busy, right? I would do a video like that, do a 30-second video about, hey, here's what's going on in the market. We're still seeing tons of multiple offers. You're going to have to get in the door within, the first 24 hours of coming on the market. Here's what's going on with interest rates according to our lender, all those kinds of things. Also think about who you can interview. We did a lot of interviews with like our lender, what's going on with interest rates? What do you think is going to happen after, the inauguration? We've done them with our financial planner to be, like how much should people be spending on their mortgage or on their rent? How do they save? Those kinds of things. Insurance people, so think about anybody in your sphere. Inspector, do one with your inspector and, ask for things that people should be looking for when they go on showings for, potential inspection problems, etc. All right. So a couple questions. How are you getting new clients in Colorado since you don't know any? I'm not. I am working completely on our Chicago clients. I am just living in Colorado. So I work remotely from here. I don't have my license in Colorado, no plans to do that. After your seller moves out of state, Lauren asked, do you remove them from your database? No, because they're still a great referral source. So we have a separate section for them. So we don't send them, like invitations to events and things like that, but we do still send them general things that would be helpful for them to know about home maintenance, money saving tips, stuff like that. So, don't take those people off your database. They're great to know. Do you mail out the home maintenance? Is that the only thing you mail? I do Buffini, but it's expensive. We do not mail out the home maintenance. Those are only emailed. I will talk about the 2 things that we mail out in just a few minutes. and answer that question. Do I allow anyone to post on your Facebook page? Well, it's my personal page, so nobody else has access, just me. Otherwise, if they want to post something and tag me in it, then I would approve it before it can go on there. Do I allow everyone to see my business Facebook page or only friends? Yeah, everybody can see my business Facebook page. My personal Facebook page is only friends. I don't have that open to the public, just because I get some weird creeps. Like I had one the other day who was texting me weird things. So, that is for clients and friends and things like that, but not the general public, because you have to be careful. There are just some crazies out there. Okay, so, and then we talked about the Monday market updates. All right, so these are some examples of things you can be posting. Okay, so then let's talk about upping your marketing. Okay, so this answers the question about what do we mail out? I personally think that just listed and just sold postcards are a waste of money and time. I don't know very many agents who get a lot of business from them, and they are very expensive. Typically, what I find is you have to send a piece of mail to someone 7 or 8 times in order for you to get any notice from that person, right? And that gets really expensive. So what we started doing a couple of years ago instead is we still do quarterly just listed, just sold. So we have a postcard that goes out on a quarterly basis to everyone in our sphere or any prospective clients that we want to work with. And it lists all of our sales for that quarter. So everything that closed, everything that was under contract, and whatever is currently for sale. I find that to be much more impressive because then they can see that we closed 30 properties this quarter. Before we were doing that, I don't think people who knew me thought that I was a very busy real estate agent. They don't know. If you're not talking about it on social media, you're not sending out marketing materials, how do they know what kind of volume you do? So I found that this one single thing increased my business dramatically because I started getting phone calls from people I knew being like, oh my gosh, Shay, I had no idea you did this kind of business, because they were getting individual just listed, just sold, but nobody really paid attention to that. But when they got one postcard that showed everything, it was like, whoa, this is a lot of stuff that she does, right? So even if you're a new agent and you only do 2 deals a quarter, send that out and say, we're super excited. These are some, I wouldn't say that was what I did in the quarter if I was a new agent, but I would say these were some recently sold properties, word it like that, but send it out once a quarter. And then as you get busier, you'll have more things on there. So we send that out. And then at the end of the year, we do a recap for the year. So these were our stats from 2019. We did 36 million. So you can see we were up 20 million this year over last year by implementing a lot of the stuff, particularly the social media posting. So we send that postcard out. Beyond that, the other things that we mail would be a happy birthday card to every client. And then we do a house anniversary card. So each year on their house anniversary, we send them a card in the mail. Those are typically the only mailings that we do. We do mail gifts. So like if I saw somebody I follow all my clients on social media. So if I found that they were pregnant, we'll send them a baby gift, because I want to be front and center during what I call milestone moments in people's lives, because typically when they have a milestone moment, that's when their housing needs change. So I want to be front and center when they have a baby, when they get a divorce, when they have a job change, when they get married, because that's usually when their housing needs are going to change. So, whether you're sending them a card saying congratulations on the new job, or a gift, I don't necessarily know that, that it makes a big difference. Obviously the gifts are nice, but if you're a newer agent, you don't have the money to do that. Just send them a card, send them a text, just communicate with them and say congratulations on that. So Lauren asks, who designs our marketing for you? So I picked my brokerage based on them having an in-house marketing team that I could use for free. That was the number one thing that was most important to me in my brokerage. So I can go to them and get anything I want custom made. So they did my logo, they do all my marketing, etc. So look at what your brokerage offers you. And if it's not what you need, look for a different brokerage. What do I think about send out cards? I think they're fine. I personally like handwritten cards. So I send out a lot of handwritten cards every year or every day. I like my clients to see my handwriting, but I think send out cards is definitely a lot better than nothing. And Magnus Title can help you with your marketing. That's awesome. Take advantage of that, right? Most of us are not good at marketing. We're not graphic designers. That is not our skill set in our job, right? We're people, we're good with people, right? So find other people, your brokerage, Magnus, etc., that can help you with your marketing. How do I determine 2 times a year who gets your pop buys? So we try to make sure that everybody is getting a pop by at least once a year and ideally twice a year. So in part, it's determined by location. To be honest with you, people who are really far away, we probably only get a pop by once a year. If they're close by our office, then they get them both, or sometimes we do 3 pop bys. We don't go based on price point at all. That's never been our philosophy. Whether you're a $100,000 client or a $2 million, we treat all of our clients the same. So it's more, are they in town? Are they snowbirds? That kind of stuff. All right, let's keep going on. All right, and Sherry said no charge for any design work, 10 cents per flyer. That's great. That's super cheap. Take her up on that. All right, so the next thing that I think you really need as part of your marketing is a 10-year post-transaction follow-up program. Okay. So, I coach a lot of real estate clients, and I had one recently who said to me, well, I stayed in contact with my client for 6 months, but I didn't hear from them. And I'm like, no one needs you 6 months after they moved into the house, usually, unless there's a problem and they need a service provider recommendation, right? They're still unpacking. They're trying to figure out, where the dry cleaner is, all that kind of stuff. When they need you is 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, when they're actually ready to buy and sell again. So it used to be that people stayed in their house for 5 to 7 years. Now with the new NAR stats that have come out, people are staying in their home longer. So they're staying in their house 7 to 10 years on average. So you need to be there when they need you, which is 7 to 10 years on average. So you need a 10-year post-transaction follow-up program. So again, we do this through RealVolve, which is our CRM. We have an email that goes out to them once a month for 10 years. And it has to be helpful stuff. Otherwise, no one's going to want to read your emails. So what we really focus on, like those quarterly maintenance reminders, those are 4 of our emails every year. We talk about weather related things, so you don't have this issue, but in Chicago, we have a danger of our pipes freezing. So if it's really cold, we'll send an email out being like, hey, your pipes might freeze tomorrow. Here's what you need to do. So think of weather related things that you have there that you could warn people about, especially if you have a lot of people moving from other markets. Like we moved to Denver, we had never had a sprinkler system in our lawn before. People don't have that in Chicago. We don't even have lawns in Chicago, right? So we moved here, and after a month of us being here, it was going to be really cold, and we didn't know how to turn ours off or what we were supposed to do. And our realtor reached out to us and said, hey, I know you guys just moved here. You probably don't know what to do with your sprinkler system. Let me help you, So you can do that personally, but that's a lot more work. So think about those weather related things that you need to warn clients about, especially if they're not from Arizona. Put those in that email system so that they get those. Things like how can they pay off interest on their property faster? We just sent one out a month ago about this is the time to refinance. I just refinanced. I got 2.35 on a 15-year loan, right? Interest rates were crazy low a couple of weeks ago. Send that out to your clients, right? So be the resource for them for actual helpful information, because if you are, they will open those and they will read them. If you're sending them stuff like recipes, like no offense, but people don't need your recipes anymore. They can go onto Pinterest and find those. They can Google those on their own, right? That's not your value proposition. Your value proposition is how can you save them money? How can you, help them with maintenance with their home, rehab projects with their home, things like that. Okay. So then rev up your reviews. You should be really focused on getting reviews, especially right now. If you have people who are, people who have kids right now, as someone with a 4-year-old, it is hard in COVID to have a kid, right? We don't have as much childcare. There's not as much for your kid to do. It's hard, right? But if you don't have kids, you probably have some more free time right now because you don't have as many places you can go and things that you can do. So this is a great time to get reviews because people have more time to give them to you. We find it's best to ask for a review a week before the transaction closes, because if you ask for the review after the transaction closes, at that point, they're busy packing, they're busy moving, unpacking, they don't have time to give you a review. So ask for it ahead of time and make it as easy for them as you can. So we use Real Satisfied. It's $99 a year. And it basically, all you do is you put in the client's email address, their name, and whether they were a buyer or a seller. And then it sends them a very detailed survey that they fill out, and it allows them to leave a testimonial. So with that testimonial, you pick what color you want it to be. This is what it looks like. And then with the click of a button, you can put it on realtor.com. you can put it on Twitter and you can put it on Facebook. Okay. What we do then is we copy that review, we send it back to the client with a $10 Starbucks e-gift card, because basically we want to bribe them so they feel like they have to do what we're asking. And we ask them to copy and paste that review and also put it on Zillow. We give them a link to Zillow. And then we also ask them to put it on our Google page and our Yelp page. The thing you have to be aware of with Yelp is that you cannot send them a link to your Yelp page, because if you do, Yelp somehow magically knows, and that's where reviews end up going into that unverified section that no one ever sees because they think it's a fraudulent review. So you have to ask the client to just independently Google your Yelp page and find it. So if you're a new agent, you don't have money to spend $99 a year on Real Satisfied, just email your clients and say, hey, I'm growing my business. It would mean a lot to me if you could please leave me a review, and then give them links. Give them a link to realtor.com and Zillow, and Google, not Yelp, as we've talked about. And just say, if you could just write one review and then put them on these sites for free, I would really, or copy them and paste them on there, I would really appreciate it. What we find is best is to email them and then follow up with a text message. So if you follow up with a personal text message plea, we've gotten much better response at getting reviews by just saying, I just sent you an email asking for a review. I know you're super busy. If you have 5 minutes to leave me a review, I would really appreciate it. When we were just sending the email, we didn't get as many reviews. Am I still sending my clients to Zillow even though they are their own brokerage here? Yeah, because you know what? Our clients don't know they're a brokerage, and our clients don't care that they're a brokerage. Our clients just want to find someplace they can read reviews about you before they decide if they're going to work with you or not. So yes, anywhere my clients are going to go to research me and look for reviews about me before they decide whether they're going to work with me, I want their reviews there. I don't care if it's another brokerage or not. Can you repeat where you asked them to post their reviews after you send it to them? Yes. So we want our reviews. You should have a page set up on realtor.com. In my opinion, you should have a page on Zillow. You should have a Yelp page set up. You should have a Google page set up. And you should have a Facebook business page set up. So those are the 5 places we want reviews posted. And then typically what I'll do is once or twice a month, I'll take a really good review and I will share it from my business page to my personal page, just to remind everybody on my personal page that I'm real estate. And we put all of our reviews in that story section on our Facebook page and on Instagram as well, so people can see them. All right. Up your relationship to other agents. Man, other agents are going to make or break you in this business, right? It is a small real estate world. And if you are not a pleasant agent to deal with, that is going to get around and no one's going to want to work with you. And that is going to really mess you up during multiple offer situations. So we go above and beyond to be nice to other agents. We have always sent them a card with a $10 Starbucks gift card after the transaction closes to say thank you. But I loved this. I saw this posted in a real estate group I'm in. So this woman, Marcy Yankelov, who I don't know, I just stole this picture because she posted it. So she is dropping off a bottle of wine with a little card saying like, thank you for bringing a buyer to my listing, or whatever you want to do. So, I think acknowledging the other agent, if they did a good job. I mean, sometimes you're going to have an agent that transaction ends and you're like, oh gosh, I hope I never see that person again. Right. But in general, I think most of us have good experiences with the person on the other side, so thank you. That goes a long way in if you are in a multiple offer situation again with that person, they will want to work with you and that may help your client win. So, think about how are you treating those people as well. And then really up your lead generation. Okay. So obviously you can't do any of this stuff if you don't have leads. So where do you get leads from as a new agent? Okay. I built my business on open houses because I didn't have any other way to do it. So, if you feel comfortable during COVID doing open houses, talk to other busy agents in your office and see if they would like you to sit open houses for them. I haven't sat my own open house in years, right? I have no interest and no time to do that anymore. So I'm happy with a new agent comes and asks me if they can sit mine, take them all, right? The key with open houses is that you have to follow up with those clients. I've never had anybody reach out to me after an open house and say, oh gosh, Shay, I loved you at the open house. Can you help me buy a house? Right? That's not how it works. We have a 2-year follow-up program with those clients that we meet at open houses where once a month we reach out to them with helpful information. ways they can increase their credit score, how far in advance of moving should they start looking for a property, those kinds of things. And then what I always did was I set them up on an MLS search, a day or two after the open house. So I would talk with them at the open house, kind of get a general sense of what they were looking for. And then if they didn't have a realtor, I would set them up on a search and basically assume at that point that they were my client. And I would reach out to them and ask, when they wanted to go see this property. You can look at doing some online classes. So, I know a lot of us have tried to do, buyer classes or seller classes in person in the past, and they're really hard to get people to come to. We're having really good luck doing them via Zoom because people can do them from the comfort of their, home, their couch, in their pajamas. They don't have to go anywhere. We're keeping them to 30 minutes and we're doing a giveaway. So for anybody who comes to the class or who shares the class on their social media, we are giving them an entry form for a $250 Visa gift card raffle to try to drive traffic for these. And so we're doing a buyer class next week, and then we're doing a seller class the week after that. So especially, think about in your market when you have a lull at all in business, that's when you should be doing these kinds of marketing things, right? To fill your pipeline for the time of year that it is busy in your marketplace. These we typically partner with a lender. So we talk for 10 minutes, the lender talks for 10 minutes about, different financing options, et cetera. And then we have like 10 minutes for questions at the end. So, obviously I just moved to Denver a couple of months ago or 6 months ago. There's some great Facebook groups here that are all run by realtors. So one is Moving to Denver. This is run by a realtor. It has 5,000 people in it. People post in here when they're thinking about moving, and they'll say, hey, I'm thinking about moving. Can people give me advice on neighborhoods, on schools, on pediatricians? And so this Kate cleans up in this group. She has a survey you have to fill out ahead of time about, when are you thinking about moving? Would you like me to set you up on an MLS search to help you find properties? If you're thinking of buying, do you need to get hooked up with a lender? What questions can I answer for you about living in Denver? Things like that. And if you're a realtor, she doesn't let you in the group. I'm only allowed in because I'm not practicing real estate here, right? So if you have a lot of people moving to your area, look at setting something up like this. Again, it doesn't cost you anything, but she's getting a ton of business from it. Okay. Divorce attorneys. I think I spelled this wrong, but no, maybe I didn't. All right. I think divorces are going to be huge in 2021. I'm already starting to have a ton of clients reach out to me who, COVID has broken them, right? They've realized they do not like spending all this time together in quarantine. And so we're already starting to see a bunch of listings coming on this spring, from our sphere of people who are getting divorces. So reach out to divorce attorneys, start to create a relationship with them so that you can get their business. Same thing. I think there's going to be a ton of babies because it's like, if you didn't like living with your spouse for the last year, you're probably headed toward divorce, right? Or if you did, maybe you're going to have a baby because you really liked hanging out with them the last year, right? So figure out how can you turn both of those things into real estate business, because obviously when people get divorced, their housing needs change. And a lot of times when they have babies, their housing needs change. So those are both opportunities for 2021 that you really need to be looking into. Okay. Last thing, and I know I'm running over just a couple minutes, so I'll wrap up in a second, up your work-life balance, right? So I do not work Fridays through Sundays. I will answer emails. But in general, I don't work those days. Those are my days off. And that's easier because I'm not doing showings. But even when I was doing showings and inspections and closings and stuff, with my buyer's agent, I would work, Saturdays, and I would take Sundays off. She would work the other day. So we always had at least one day off a week. We do not do closings on Fridays or Mondays. And we tell our clients that because 2 reasons. One, closings on Fridays and Mondays are normally a mess, right? The title companies are overwhelmed with closings those days. The lenders are overwhelmed with closings. So you just have a lot more problems. I find closings are much smoother if we have them on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, or Thursdays. We typically tell our clients we don't want them to close like the last couple of days of the month or the first couple of days of the next month for the same reason. Closings those days are messes, right? So if we can close mid-month on a Wednesday, usually it's smooth sailing on the closing side. So that allows me to block off Fridays and Mondays and know that I'm not going to have any closings that day. We do our final walkthroughs before closing, and then the client goes right to closing. So again, and that's our choice. That's how we set up our business, that's what we tell the clients, that's when we're going to do them. So that way we know we don't have any final walkthroughs that day either, right? So really the only thing that could come up is an inspection, and we don't have a ton of control over the inspections. We typically also don't have a ton of showings on Mondays, right? Like, who's putting a property on the market on a Sunday and people want to get in for first showings on Mondays, right? So that's a good day to take off, or at least be your paperwork day to work from home to get paperwork done. I firmly believe that you should work to live and not live to work. So in my schedule, everything else is more important than work, and that all goes first. So I block off exercise. I work out every morning from 6 or 6:30 on. At night, I take a bath every night at 9 o'clock. From 3:30, I start cooking dinner, and until my son goes to bed at 8, I am on mommy time. So I do not work those times either. I will respond to a quick text message or an email or something, but my work fits into very segmented boxes of time that I have available. And I'm able to do that because, I have a lot of automated systems that get back to clients, so if a new buyer comes in during one of those time periods, I can send them a quick email that's a template in my email saying, I'd love to set up a time to talk with you. Before we talk, I need you to fill out this ready to buy survey. And then let me know when you're free for about 45 minutes, so that I'm not picking up the phone in the middle of dinner and have somebody who wants to have an hour-long conversation with me as a new buyer, right? So control your schedule. We are not saving lives here, so you can work around your schedule more than you think you can, right? If a property comes on the market that your client needs to get into, they need to get in to see that property right away. That's probably the one thing you can't work around, but that doesn't necessarily mean you always have to drop everything to show that property, right? If you are making enough money to pay your bills, have some newer agents who can help you. Pay them $25 or whatever it is per showing to go show that property, so that you can block off 1 or 2 nights a week when that is your family time, when you are with your family. Okay. And then look at what you are not good at. Okay. I am terrible at QuickBooks. I am terrible at bookkeeping, right? And I find that is similar with most agents I talk with, right? So I hired a bookkeeper 2 years ago. Best decision I've ever made. I don't have to deal with that stuff now. Once a month, I talk with the bookkeeper. We go over all the expenses. We look at it. She gives me my profit and loss, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So figure out what you are not good at and hire that out, because you cannot be good at everything. It is impossible. And if it's something you're not good at, you're not going to do it. And if it's important and it needs to get done, you need to find somebody else. So especially, agents who are getting busier, you need to have admins. Okay. I made the mistake of, I had an admin for about 10 hours and then I hired a buyer's agent. And that was the worst mistake I've made in real estate. You should have a bunch of admins and be maxing out everything an admin can do before you get a buyer's agent. Okay. And when you are new, if you're a new agent, volunteer to help those busy agents out to learn from them. Volunteer to go do showings for them. Obviously you would get paid for that, but volunteer to go to inspections for them. I don't want to go to inspection and sit there for 3 or 4 hours. I'm happy to pay a new agent $100 to do that, right? So you can get experience as a new agent by doing that kind of stuff, okay? All right, I think I've gotten all the questions. I think these are mainly just comments. If I missed a question, please put it in there. All right, so that's everything I had. I apologize, we went over a couple of minutes. I hope that this was really helpful. If other people have other questions, please put them in the box. What service do I use for editing and captioning your videos? That is a great question that I do not know the answer to, because my admin takes care of that. It's on her Mac. It's built in. I don't remember. So apologies. I don't know what that service is. I would have to ask her. I don't do that. All right. Any other questions I can answer? If so, please type them in here. I'll stand here a couple more minutes. Again, I'm going to post a copy of this on not my personal page, but on my business, my speaking page. So that is Shay Hata, real estate speaker and coach. It will be on there. I will do that at some point later today, so you can look for it there. WeServe obviously has a recording of this. So if you would like that, reach out to them. They will get that to you. Can I recap what I send monthly to my clients in mail and email? So monthly, we don't really send anything in the mail monthly, other than birthday cards and house anniversary cards. Once a quarter, we send our quarterly sales. And at the end of the year, we send our end of year sales. Oh, we do send every other month. I forgot. We send a postcard that has all the upcoming events in our area for the next 2 months on it. We haven't been doing that this year, obviously, because of COVID, but in general, we'll go back to that. And then via email, we have each person on that automated campaign. So they will get an email from us once a month about something related to, saving money, doing maintenance for their house, something like that typically. All right, let me see if there were any other questions. How many times a year do I call? I never call my clients. I hate talking on the phone. All my clients know that. Man, if I call them, they know somebody's dying. They've gotten, their offer's been accepted. Like, I do not call my clients. I do a lot of texting. So like yesterday, what I did was I went through every transaction we have had since I started, and I texted probably half those clients just yesterday and just said, or email. I did a combination of both. Just wanted to check in, see how you're surviving and, this crazy past year that we've had. I hope you're doing well. Let me know if you need anything from me. And I literally copy and pasted that and I sent it out via text and email. So I got through maybe half the list yesterday, and I'll do the other half probably next week. And so I try to do that every quarter or every 6 months, just depending on how busy we are. What platform do I use for my website presence? I use Playster.com. Again, that's an NAR member benefit, so you get a discount on it. I think it's important to have a blog feature on that, so I pay more for that. I think it's $99 a month. But for me, the website is crucial to my business. That's where we house all of the content that gets pushed out via our automated emails. So usually our automated emails that go to clients are like 1 paragraph long, and then there's a link back to our website with more information if they want to read it. So I literally couldn't run my business for a day without my website. That's how important it is to us. All right, let me see if there's any other questions. A bunch of people want recording. Do I have a place to get a copy of your buyer surveys? Yes, if you go to my website, which is buyselllovechicago.com. I'll type that in the box, buyselllovechicago.com. That's the name of our team. If you click on the buyer section, you'll see a drop down that says ready to buy surveys. If you click on the second section, you'll see the seller section. You'll see that same drop down for our seller surveys. Those are all Google forms, so they're free. They don't cost you anything to make. And that has really saved us, hundreds of hours a year, because now when somebody calls, I'm not having an hour phone conversation with them. I'm like, let me get your name and your email. I'm going to send you a survey to fill out, and then let's set up a time to Zoom. And that way I can set up a time at the time that's convenient for me to talk with them. So, if you do anything, that's a simple thing you can do that doesn't cost you any money. Can you get a copy of my home maintenance guides? Sure, I can put on my Facebook page, I'll type in here. I can post those. You would need to change them for your market though. Mine talk about, winterizing your house and stuff like that. So those aren't going to be applicable to you, but I just put the name of my Facebook page down at the bottom. So I'll post those graphics on there. All right. Any other questions from anybody before we log off? Looks like it's quiet now. All right, Tanya, you want me to turn it back over to you?
Thank you so much, Shay. We appreciate all of the good information that you gave everyone. The chat box is filled with thank yous. So
my pleasure. Thanks for having me, everybody. And be nice to Iris Taylor if you come across her. She's awesome.
Thank you, Shay. Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Thanks, everybody.